Hi, welcome back to the class of reading poetry. As we learned in the previous class, there are several forms of poetry. Today we are going to learn the ode of William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. This is selected because these two are known as a best friend, and this friendship can be seen in their two odes. The connection of friendship we can found in the odes, the similarity of their nature, similarity of selecting the themes that we found in these two odes. The first one that is ode on intimation of immortality, and the second one dejection and ode. The first ode, that is ode on intimation of immortality, is written by William Wordsworth, consisting 55 lines. In 54 and 55 lines, he has a question about the glory and gloom we human beings lost as our age grows. And in the second one, the question are replied by S.T. Coleridge, where he answered that the glory and gloom is remaining as it is in the nature, but as human being grown up, it changes towards the mood, and due to mood, though nature remains the same, we are not able to enjoy the same beauty of the nature. We could not live with the company of the nature. Therefore, after the answer of S.T. Coleridge, the further 7 stanzas are continued by William Wordsworth with the same theme: where that glory has been gone, where that gloom is went, that is of early childhood, we enjoyed. The nature which teaches us so many things. Nature is the only best company that we should accompany. The same theme is selected by these two writers, two best friends, two colleagues, whose friendship's outcome is lyrical ballad. Ode, intimation of immortality, and dejection and ode, the best example of complement to each other, that is William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. The friendship between William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge produces dazzling result. The outcome of these dazzling result is the lyrical ballad. Wordsworth and Coleridge were best friends and perfect complementary to each other. They were similar in many matters and interests too. Notable similarities are as both were students of Cambridge University, both were having same disconnected attitude towards Cambridge University, both amounted and worked to become the father of the Romantic era. With the use of mastermind, both use the concept of nature in their writing. Thus, they were undeclared bounded with each other. In the words of Adam Sisman, their passionate and tempestuous bond and the way in which rivalry breed tension between them, though much has been written about this extraordinary, though no previous biographer has considered them together. I unquote. There are a number of examples which will prove that they were perfect complementary to each other with the idealism stage of their friendship. The philosophy of life, the truth of beauty, the truth of nature that always is seen in human being, that is discussed by these two poets in their poem, which is connected with each other. For them, we all enjoy the nature, natural beauty, rainbows, rainwater, sound of airs, wandering in the mountains, wandering with the nature. These all has some specific limit which we enjoy, but as age grows, gradually the things are changed in our mental ability. In nature, they are existing in the same way. This is the philosophy that has been shown by these two writers. William Wordsworth and Coleridge spent long days wandering around in natural beauty of the English countryside. Deep in discussion, talking for miles and miles, they covered philosophy and the nature as well as tried to find out the truth of life. Ode on intimation of immortality and dejection and ode are the best examples of their collaboration of writing, supporting and complementing of each other. The first part of the poem written by William Wordsworth is entitled as Ode Intimation of Immortality was of 55 lines. Wordsworth had a question in the mind which he has explained in line number 54 and 55. And this question was answered by Coleridge in his poem Dejection and Ode. Wordsworth continued it after 2 years, the same poem, Ode Intimation of Immortality. Friendship is the shadow of the evening which strengthens with the setting sun of life. I unquote. It is the right statement by Fuller, and it is suitable to the friendship of William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. The friendship of William Wordsworth with S.T. Coleridge led to the publication of the epoch-making collection, that is Lyrical Ballad, which is published in 1798. Samuel Johnson defined their friendship as friendship peculiarly boon of the heaven, the noble mind's delight and pride, to men and angels only given, to all the lowers were denied. I unquote. perfect suitable friendship is with the notable and intellectual man on the earth, that is William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, and the outcome is Ode on Intimation of Immortality and Dejection and Ode. Ode, Intimation of Immortality and Dejection and Ode are the result of these two true friendship, their support, their response to each other with noble mind. As said earlier, William Wordsworth had a question. The question which arose in his mind in line number 54 and 55 of fourth stanza of Dejection and Ode is, whither is fled the visionary gloom? Where is it now, the glory and the dream? The answer of this question is replied by S.T. Coleridge in his poem Dejection and Ode, and after the 2 years, it means in 1804, he had continued this poem with 7 stanzas. With 7 stanzas in the poem Ode, Intimation of Immortality, and it is also known as the Great Ode. Commenting and complimenting each other, being best friend, these two poems are greatest example of two noblest and greatest writer of the Romantic era. Aristotle defined the friendship, and his definition is proved by the friendship of S.T. Coleridge and Wordsworth. He said, friendship is a single soul dwelling in two bodies. I unquote. It is a definition by Aristotle which is 100% suitable to these two writers, which shows one soul in two bodies, one theme for two poems by two real noble writers, single soul, double body. And outcome is that Ode, Intimation of Immortality and Dejection and Ode. There are number of similarities among Coleridge and Wordsworth, which proves that there is a one soul and two body as defined by Aristotle. In these two friends, William Wordsworth and Coleridge were perfect complementary to each other. They shared much similar interests. They were the student of same university, having a disconnected attitude towards university. Even both amounted to be father of Romantic era. Both poets had noteworthy style of writing. Most poignant of their writing characters were the use of nature to support their poetic style, the theme of memory and growth, the evolution of mankind, the grandeur of nature and its effect on human memory, etc. By Wordsworth and complement to Wordsworth's poem, Coleridge responded with the theme of supernatural human strength, endurance and preserve against the powerful fury of nature. The concept by these two poets is defined as the divine glory. They define this divine glory to the age of childhood. Even we can say in their words that at the early age, since from the birth to 18 months, for them that is our connection with a God. The memories which remains in the mind of child are only connected with the God, and that remembered, and they laugh for themselves. They live in their own world which is connected with the God, which is connected with their original word, which is connected with their real home, that is a heaven. And to this term he called as memory and growth, which is an important issue of life. Wordsworth in his poem Ode, Intimation of Immortality described the term memory and growth of human being as there was a time when one can see the glory and the delightness of a nature and enjoyed it even with listening, joyous songs sung by birds, but with the growing age, individual forgets all these things of divine glory presented in the nature. As age grows, heavenly and divine memory become fainter and fainter. Why? That was the question in the mind of William Wordsworth. S.T. Coleridge answered it in his poem Dejection and All. To him, all these things are existing in the world, same as our early life, that is the infant age. But with the growing age, we are having spectacle of mood, and due to it, when there is a spectacle of frustration, poet is not able to write poetry, nor able to enjoy the nature. He just feels dejected. Complimenting and supporting to Coleridge, Wordsworth continued Ode, Intimation of Immortality after 2 years means 1804 with adding last 7 stanzas. To Coleridge, mood is the main thing that creates a gap between nature and the human being. It is rejected from the nature and natural beauty because of mood only. The same evening is existing in the nature where we can see two lights during the period of sunset and moon rising, but due to the mood, the evening becomes bore. The same things we find for other objects. Rainbows, sounds in the airs, echoes, that all things everyone enjoys at early childhood. But as age grows, human being comes under frustration due to workload, due to over expectations, due to ambitions, and then though things are remaining same in the nature, the same beauty is there. the mood changing it, and one can become dejected from the nature. The poet claimed that we are born with fullness of joy and awareness of our place on the earth, and forget that our real home is in heaven, the prior knowledge or memory. We forget primal knowledge as we grow older. In a series of metaphysical reflection on the nature of man, Wordsworth tried to recapture a state of innocence and joy that he had in a childhood. He continued that the golden memory of the past, that is of early childhood, will work as the standing power of mankind in the present situation when we are suffering from pain, mental disturbance, or dejection. Thus, supporting to each other, complementing to each other, these two friends come on the single and great philosophy of life, that the glory of the beauty of nature and the vision stay at the similar place, but a growing age, it becomes fainter and fainter due to burden and workload. But it works as a steadying power in present as well as future to enjoy the nature and natural beauty. It is better to conclude with the concept of Shakespeare, who defined the friendship of Coleridge and Wordsworth as thou last, and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul, with hoops to steal, I unquote. Now let us move towards the poem or Intimation on Immortality. The poem, as said earlier, in the first stanza, he talks about all the beauties, glories, and the enjoyment that we enjoy at early age. We play with the nature, we want to live in the nature, even we want to see, listen the song of birds that feels as a great company to everyone, to wander on the rivers, to go towards the farms, call the birds, listen our own echoes. These all things of beauty. These all things we feel beautiful at the early age. Later it becomes fainter and fainter. These all things he presented in his poem Ode on Intimation of Immortality, which has total 11 stanzas consisting preparation of two parts, one in 1802 after 2 years, that we can say after the reply of his friend S.T. Coleridge. In 1804, the whole poem is completed. Now we are moving towards the complete poem. The poem is an irregular Pindaric chord in 11 stanzas that combines aspect of Coleridge's conversation poem, the religious sentiments of the Bible, and the work of St. Augustine, and aspects of the elegiac and apocalyptic traditions. It is split into three moments. The first four stanza discuss death and the loss of youth and innocence. The second four stanza describes how age causes man to lose sight of the divine, and the final three stanza express hope that the memory of divine allows us to sympathize with our fellow man. The poem relies on the concept of pre-existence, the idea that the soul existed before the body, to connect children with the ability to witness the divine within the nature. As children mature, they become more worldly and lose this divine vision, and the ode reveals Wordsworth's understanding of psychological development that is also found in his poem The Prelude and Tintern Abbey. Wordsworth's praise of the child as the best philosopher was criticized by Coleridge and became the source of later critical discussion. In the first opening part, the speaker begins by declaring that there was a time when nature seems mystical to him, like a dream apparelled in the celestine light, but now all of that is gone. No matter what he does, the thing which I have seen, I now can see no more. I unquote. In the second stanza, the speaker says that even though he can still see the rainbow, the rose, the moon, and the sun, and even though they are still beautiful, something indifferent, something has been lost, but yet I know, wherever I go, that there had passed away glory from the earth. I unquote. The speaker is saddened by the bird singing and the lamb jumping in the third stanza. Soon, however, he resolves not to be depressed because it will be only put a damper on the beauty of the season. He declares that all of the earth is happy and exhort the shepherd boy to shout. In the fourth stanza, the speaker continues to be a part of joy of the season, saying that it would be wrong to be sullen while earth himself in adorning and the children are calling on every side in a thousand's valley far and wide. I unquote. However, when he sees a tree, a field, and later he pants as his feet, they again give him a strong feeling that something is amiss. He asks, whither is fled the visionary gleam? Where is it now, and the glory and the dream? I unquote. The fifth stanza contains arguably the most famous line of the poem, our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. I unquote. He goes on to say that as infant we have some memory of heaven, but as we grow, we lose the connection. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. I unquote. As children, this connection with heaven causes us to experience nature's glory more clearly. Once we are grown, the connection is lost. In the sixth stanza, the speaker says that as soon as we get to earth, everything conspires to help us forget the place we came from, heaven, forget the glory he had known, and that empirical palace whence he came. I unquote. In the seventh stanza, the speaker sees or imagines a 6-year-old boy and the foresees the rest of his life. He says that the child will learn from his experiences, but that he will spend most of his efforts on imitation, and with new joy and pride, the little actor coins another part. I unquote. It seems to be speaker that his whole life will essentially be endless imitation. These all things we can see surrounding us. When we see the child who is growing in the family, he always tries to copy each and every action, the words which are done by his parents, other senior members. So he gradually and slowly disconnected himself from the previous life and try to imitate with those people to whom with he or she is living. That is the reason where language is captured by specific person from which community he or she belongs. The part of imitation now becomes part and parcel of the life. No one can live and grow without imitation, and imitation is the thing that is taking us far away from divine glory. Everyone now wants to have physical assets, have a life like others. They want to copy others. They want the things, the lifestyle which for them is ideal. This is the part which makes us to go under the frustration. More ambitions, more desire to have the things, to have the expectations takes us towards the misery of the life. Even Swami Vivekananda also said about it. The only cause of misery is wants, and wants is the only cause of misery, which is stated by Swami Vivekananda also. The same thing he explained with the part of imitation. Imitation of lifestyle, imitations of others' actions. So from early childhood, the kid becomes an action boy or action girl and grows up and disconnects himself from the nature, from the natural beauty, from the divine memory, from the divine connection that lies in the heaven. In the 8th stanza, the speaker speaks directly to the child, calling him a philosopher. The speaker cannot understand why the child, who is so close to heaven in his youth, would rush to grow into an adult. He asks him, why with such earnest pain dost thou provoke the years to bring the inevitable yoke, thus blindly with thy blindness at strife? I unquote. In the 9th stanza, the speaker experiences a flood of joy when he realizes that through memory he will always be able to connect to his childhood and through his childhood nature. This is the longest stanza of poem consisting 38 lines. In the 10th stanza, the speaker harkens back to the beginning of the poem, asking the same creature that earlier made him sad with their sounds to sing out. Then sing, a bird, sing a joyous song. I unquote. Even though he admits that he has lost some of the glory of the nature as he has grown out of childhood, he is comfortable by the knowledge that he can rely on his memory. In the final stanza, the speaker says that nature steals the stem by everything in his life, bringing him insight, fueling his memories and his belief that his soul is immortal. To me, the meanest flower of the blow can give thoughts that too often lie too deep for tears. I unquote. Thus, the nature, the natural beauty, enjoying the life with the natural beauty is the part of early childhood, is the part of divine belief, is the part of divine life, which is rejected, which is disconnected as age grows on, as mood is changed. Where it goes when human grows is the question which arose in the mind of William Wordsworth, and that is replied by S.T. Coleridge in his poem Dejection and Ode, and the further poem continued by William Wordsworth with the hopes, with the beliefs, and with the philosophy that the same divine past memories will be recalled by everyone in the adult age, and he will enjoy the same nature which is still existing as it was in early age. Hence, we can conclude that if we should not suffer from miseries, we should not suffer from painful life, we have to minimize, we have to remove our wants, and we have to work for good deeds. Our deeds will define our karma. Karma will define our destiny. The same spiritual theme is defined by William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge in their poem Odd Intimation of Immortality and Dejection and Odd, with the same philosophy in two poems with the same soul in two bodies. That is the real friendship we found in between William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. Thanks a lot.